Okay, so as promised, in this video, I'm going to talk about the big events that have occurred during the last times Venus has been retrograde in Aries. And I just wanted to say that, Aries being the sign of like independence and assertiveness, one thing is about this retrograde is it's going to push you to assert your needs more confidently in both in relationships and financial matters. And I mean all kinds of relationships, not just like love relationships. I mean like your friends and your people you work with. It's going to force you to kind of go into your deepest value systems about like what you value and what you don't value. And being in Aries, I don't want to get too much into this because I'm going to make another video about this completely, right? So just keep that in mind. Aries Venus, I have Aries Venus. It's very quick, but this could be when Venus is retrograde and its detriment of Aries. It can be a good time to, like slowing down is going to be really beneficial, especially since we're also in the snake year now. So it's about slowing down. It's about intuition and discernment. So anyways, let me get to why I made this video. So last time Venus was retrograde in the sign of Aries was from March 4th to April 15th, 2017. And let's just take a look at some of the news stories that were going around then. The Trump had recently been inaugurated, and his administration, as it is now, was making headlines for controversial policies and executive orders, including the travel ban to targeting several Muslim countries, which face legal challenges and protests. We can already see that kind of going on right now as a repeat. Efforts to repeal and replace Obamacare, which dominated political discourse during this period. It's interesting, like, had McCain not voted for that and Trump got away with that, like, how do you think we would see him back in office? I don't know. But we also had the Brexit developments in United Kingdom, beginning of leaving the European Union. It was a historic moment following the 2016 Brexit referendum. We had South Korea's political crisis. South Korea's constitutional court upheld the impeachment of Park Geun-hye, removing her from office over a corruption scandal. This led to widespread protests and political upheaval in the country. We also had Trump's, like, speaking of Trump's administration, we had the Syria and the U.S. airstrikes. On April 7th, 2017, the U.S. launched a missile strike on a Syrian airbase in response to a chemical weapons attack in Khan Shaykhun, which killed dozens of civilians. This marked a significant escalation in U.S. involvement in the Syrian civil war. North Korea's missile tests, escalating tensions with the international community. Cultural and entertainment highlights. The live-action remake of Disney's Beauty and the Beast was released on March 17, 2017. That's like my favorite Disney movie, by the way. Let's see. NASA announced the discovery of a new solar system, TRAPPIST, in February 2017, and excitement around this discovery continued into March and April. The system includes 7 Earth-sized exoplanets, some of which could potentially support life. So the themes during this Venus retrograde in Aries, the themes of self-assertion, independence, and reevaluating relationships and values were prominent. Many of the events during this time reflected these themes, like the political protests and challenges to authority, the travel ban protests, South Korea's impeachment crisis, bold actions and escalations, U.S. airstrikes in Syria, Brexit's formal initiation, and then the reflection on global values and priorities, like the NASA's discovery of potentially habitable planets. Okay, so now let's go back to 2009 in the time machine. From March 6th to April 17th, 2009, March 6th to April 17th, 2009, Venus retrograded through Aries and then briefly tipped back into Pisces before station, like it will this time, and then before it stationed direct. And this retrograde was a time of introspection about relationships, values, and self-worth, particularly in the bold, independent, and fiery context of Aries. So here's some major things that happened then. One thing that probably came to you all's mind already was the global financial crisis and economic turmoil. I remember this because I graduated from UNC this year. So the world was in the midst of 2008 to 2009 global financial crisis, one of the most severe economic downturns that we've had since the Great Depression. During this Venus retrograde on March 9th, 2009, the US stock market hit its lowest point of the crisis with the Dow Jones Industrial Average at 6,547.05. This marked the bottom of the bear market, and a slow recovery began afterward. Governments around the world were implementing stimulus packages and bailouts to stabilize economies. For example, the US passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in February 2009. And its effects were being felt during this retrograde period because this retrograde period occurred right after that. So the connection to astrology is that Venus retrograde often brings a reevaluation of values, resources, and finances. The financial crisis forced individuals, businesses, and governments to reassess their priorities and spending habits, aligning with the theme of Venus retrograde. So then we also had, in Iceland, we had mass protests against their government and financial institutions following the collapse of the country's banking system in '08. These protests culminated in significant political changes, including the resignation of Iceland's prime minister earlier in 2009. And similar protests and strikes occurred in other parts of the world, including France, where workers protested against job cuts and economic inequality. Aries energy is bold, assertive, and focused on independence, whereas Venus retrograde in Aries may have amplified people's desire to fight for fairness and justice, particularly in the matters of wealth and resources. And so this was, just like 2017 was Trump's early days in his first presidency, this was President Barack Obama's early days in his first presidency. And during this time, his administration was focused on addressing the financial crisis, including implementing stimulus measures and stabilizing the banking system. And on March 20th, 2009, Obama made headlines appearing on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, becoming the first sitting U.S. president to appear on a late-night talk show. So Venus retrograde in Aries often highlights leadership and individuality. Obama's bold and unconventional approach to connecting with the public, appearing on a talk show, reflected this Aries pioneering energy for that time. On April 5th, 2009, UNC won the national championship in basketball. I just remember that from that date. But also on April 5th, 2009, North Korea launched a long-range rocket, claiming it was a satellite launch. However, many countries, including the US and South Korea, viewed it as a test of ballistic missile technology. This event heightened tensions in that area. Okay, so cultural entertainment highlights. In February 22nd, 2009, just before that retrograde, began the buzz around the winners, including Slumdog Millionaire, continued into March. The death of Natasha Richardson, a beloved actress, occurred on March 18, 2009, after a tragic skiing accident. The piracy off the coast of Somalia, that was also an important one. On April 8th, 2009, Somali pirates hijacked the U.S. cargo ship Maersk, Alabama, leading to a dramatic rescue operation by U.S. Navy SEALs. This event brought global attention to the issue of piracy in the region. Reevaluating independence and relationships, financial and resource reevaluation, and bold actions. So I don't know, I don't have that much time left, but I did want to go over a little bit about what happened in the one before that, the March 9th to April 20th, 2001. And I believe that one was completely in Aries. I don't think it went back into Pisces, that one. So we had the dot-com bubble collapse. And you're seeing the connection here, I'm hoping, that reevaluation of values and resources. The collapse of the dot-com bubble forced investors and businesses to reassess their priorities and financial strategies, aligning with Venus retrograde themes. We had the U.S.-China Hainan Island incidents, the rise of Wikipedia. That's a big one because Aries is also a pioneering sign, and Venus retrograde in Aries often highlights innovations and bold new ideas. Wikipedia's rise during this period reflects the Aries energy of breaking new ground and redefining how people connect and share knowledge. We also had the Enron scandal, and I don't think I'm going to get through this in time, but in early 2001, Enron began to show signs of financial trouble, and Venus retrograde often exposes hidden truths about finances and values in general. So the early stages of Enron scandal during this period aligned. And all right, so that's a good summary of Venus retrograde.